Welcome to We Are Not Here to Tick a Box with Debbie Kane and Debbie Hayes. Series 2 starts with episode 11, 1 Year Wiser. Well, first of all, Happy New Year and welcome back to the We Are Not Here to Tick a Box podcast with myself and Debbie. Debbie, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to yourself as well.
Yes, and because it's a new year, 2022, and because it's a new year, yes, we rewatched our Christmas episode on the 20th of December, and as we do, we pulled things out of it. And of course, on the 13th of December, it was Debbie's birthday, and the word wiser came out because Debbie was a year wiser. And of course, now we've all gone through 2021, and I would hope that we've all learned things through 2021. So today's topic is about that 1 year wiser and what that means to myself and to Debbie. So Debbie, over to you. Wiser, what does that mean to you?
Wiser for me, I think, means that we have really integrated some knowledge and it's become wisdom. And you discern, don't you? I think when you've got wisdom, you've discerned information.
Yeah.
And being able to sort of reflect on things and then using that wisdom to then how you make choices going forwards.
Yeah.
So that would be my that's my version of wisdom, is sort of really knowing, I guess, what's true to you and being at that discernment level. What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, and as you're talking there, seeker of truth comes into my head. I remember doing a course, and it was like one of the things was be a seeker of truth, and what is that? And I think for me, when I reflected on that as a saying in this particular course that I did, it really inspired me to learn more. So to read more, and to just try and expand my mind a little bit as well. And I have to say, I've done that very well, certainly over the last 2 years, more so than any other time in my life. I read loads of different books, professional books and autobiographies, things like that. And it's always interesting that when you read books like that, and you learn about other people's realities, what their take on life is, etc. You're not going to agree with everything the same way that people are not always going to agree what we say, and we don't agree with what each other says. But you always come away with a little nugget. You always come away with something where you go, that's really interesting. Reflect on it personally. How can this benefit me and my life? And I think because you've took that journey and because you've decided to do that, then of course you come out the other side wiser, don't you?
And sometimes it's life experiences that give us that wisdom as well. And, we're able to share our own wisdom from having those life experiences. Let me ask you, though, going back to the books, are you a paperback person or are you Kindle?
Right, this is. I like paper. I like proper books, which some people might go, from an environmental perspective. But actually, the reason I like books is you can't write notes on a Kindle, and what I like to do is put little marks in the at the top of the pages and highlight certain quotes and things that I want to go back to, and that's the reason why. I'll often reflect, and there'll be times when you'll have a conversation with a client, or we'll do one of these, and something just pops on you, and I need to read that again. I need to go back and read that again. And of course, by having it in hardback, you can quickly get to the bit that you've remembered and do it that way. So yeah, definitely a hardback kind of guy, I would say.
And I'm the same, because I like to put little post-it notes in on pages that I go, I know I'm going to come back to that page. I will put little post-it notes in, and like you say, you can underline, can't you? Or you can, sometimes I write in the front cover like the key points that have really, sort of, I guess, like keynotes to a degree.
Well, that's interesting. We're talking about being wise. Being wise when you read something. If you're going to read something, be committed. And what we're talking about here, writing notes in the borders, you putting your post-it notes on there. You want to get something from this experience. You're going to sit down and dedicate 4 hours of your life to something that initially you believe is going to be a benefit to you. Surely that's got to keep coming around again. That's got to keep coming around again in your life. So I think for me, I would challenge anybody that if you get through a book and you haven't made notes or you haven't done things, you've got to question, were you truly committed to the messages that were in that book?
And I think that even within that, actually, there's something, because I think sometimes you need to give yourself permission to go, actually, this book isn't for me. So if you're so many pages in, it's really not resonating. And I've done that with a very popular book. And I just thought, I am not aligned to this book. And okay, maybe a lot of other people are and they're getting it, but it's not for me. So I just gave it back. I just gave it to the charity shop. So it's not my book. This isn't resonating with me. And the other thing is sometimes you're not quite ready for a book. So I've got a book that I bought probably, must be about 8 years ago. I remember seeing it at my aunt's house going, "Ooh, that looks really fascinating. I'm gonna buy that." And I bought it, and I remember reading it going, "Oh God, this is like creaking my brain." I thought, I can't get my head around it. And every sort of year I've picked it up and I've gone, right, I'll try and read it again. It's like, no, put it back down. And again, I think it's trusting yourself as to where you are. And I've always sort of felt that it's like, it's just that actually I am not ready to read this book yet. And then this year I read it and I was like, oh, it all makes sense. Because I think there was other layers of things I needed to understand before I could come to this book, which it's there's a lot of depth to it.
Yeah.
But it's not that the book wasn't right. It just simply wasn't. It wasn't. I wasn't at the right place in which to read it. So I think it's having that, I guess, your own wisdom as to, it's okay, just because somebody else likes a book, sometimes it doesn't mean to say it's for you. And likewise, understanding where you are. And then there are other books that I've got, and I must have read them 6 times over.
Come on, give us an example. Come on, let's plug a book. What book? What book's that then?
The Big Leap is one I go back to time and time again. It's the other book that I had to actually buy a second version of this book because I lent it out so many times, and when I didn't have it, I was like, I really like that book. It's called You Can Heal Your Body by Louise L. Hay, which is all about the metaphysics behind illnesses. And so my own version now, it's almost like falling apart. I find it so fascinating about what are those sort of thought forms that are feeding illnesses, and then what are the contrary thoughts then that you can help with. And although sometimes people are skeptical, perhaps initially, when you show them what those thought forms are, you'll be amazed how many people go, oh my God. So, and for me, that's very empowering, because it means that we're able to influence our health. That's the thing. So that, I think, if we can take that ownership and we can support and help ourselves, and that's always a good thing. Yeah. And then the other book that, again, I love is First Things First. And then I'm going to have to do a self-promotion plug here.
Oh, it's coming out. It's coming out.
Right. So this is the first book that I co-authored. So The Warrior of Wellbeing Toolkit. And I still now go back to my own chapter.
As you do.
Because there are things I shared in there that are still important for me to read. Because in here I shared about my recovery from an abusive relationship and what journey I took, and the tools in which I used for that. So it's good for me to revisit that as well. So yeah, that's just a few of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you know what? Exactly like you. I mean, the last few years, we've how my life's changed. I've read a lot of books around mental health, well-being along the way, and some of the things that have come out of those books over the years really helped me. One of the things that I'm thankful for now is and I never realised this, is the importance of, it's all about wise decisions. I make more time for me now
Mm.
than I ever have.
Good.
And that's not, but as a dad, as a husband, son, all the rest of it, we've all got these roles to play. And I was playing these roles at 100 mile an hour breakneck speed every single day. And what I learned through, again, going back, reading, finding, being more inquisitive about life and being more inquisitive about the way we behave, was just the importance of just simply being. And one of the wisest decisions I ever made was making sure that I do that. And it can be anything. It can be, rather than drive to the shops, walk to the shops, but don't just walk to the shops. Try and coming back to you, notice what you notice. Notice the world around you. Notice. So if you're doing it at night,
and that links to your quote, about being, the gift is in the presence, isn't it? Yeah. So if we can be present in the moment, really appreciate what's around us. Because we've been in this culture, haven't we, where it's been very sort of busy, and there's just so much noise, and then people not appreciating just life for today, and where we are now, and I think hopefully there's more people revisiting that and understanding, actually, no, the gift is now. None of us are guaranteed that tomorrow, are we? And that links in to my favourite quote, actually, if I can share that with you, David.
Fire away.
So my favourite quote, which I return to time and time again, and I quote it to many people, it's in the footer of all my emails, deliberately to keep reminding people. Okay, so it is: until you value yourself, you will not value your time. And until you value your time, you won't do anything with it.
Nice.
And it really just makes people stop and think.
Absolutely.
Because, you now have taken that decision already, haven't you? I'm valuing me. I'm putting me in the mix. I'm giving myself this value, and I'm giving myself this time. And we're far more discerning and deliberate in terms of where we invest ourselves. Where am I going to invest my energy? Where I'm going to invest my time in things, so that life feels valuable, actually. Because if we're not valuing ourselves, how can our life experience be valuable? It's probably not, sadly.
To be the best version of yourself for others, you've got to be the best version of you internally. You have to do that. And again, life lessons, that's something that I wasn't doing. I was putting everybody else first and, just crumbling away inside. And I think your quote goes very well to a quote that I like, which is one that Robert De Niro came up with, of all people, Sir Robert. And he said that talent is in the choices that we make. And I think that's a great quote, because it dovetails into yours perfectly. That, only by truly understanding you, working on yourself, that that's a talent. Putting yourself first and actually making the best of what you have is a talent. And from there, you can go on to make wise choices. There you go. But back to wise again. Back to wise choices. Yeah. Happy days. So lots there for people to consider. This series is going to be a bit different. Yeah. We're going to try and keep them down to 15 minutes. That's our pledge. So we talked about books, the importance of books, the importance of, listening to key messages, evaluate those messages, make them pertinent for you. And maybe next week in our podcast, we might actually delve a little deeper into these type of things as well. But time, Debbie, time. You talk about valuing time. We have to value other people's time. They may say that they want 20, 30 minutes of us, but at the moment, we're making the decision. 15 minutes is enough. A little Kit Kat and a cup of tea time. That's what our podcast is all about. So for this week, we've come to the end. We hope you've enjoyed it. We'd welcome any feedback, anything that you'd like us to discuss as always. But Debbie, that's been fascinating. So thank you as always for your time.
Thank you.
We'll see everybody next week. Join us again next Monday for episode 12. Who are you willing to become?